What's up guys, it's Punchy, and today we're back with another weekly Deepwoken update that has a lot of stuff for you to enjoy. When it comes to changing things that we're already used to and introducing new fun stuff, there's a mix of both here and there. Last week we received an entirely new fist style, the FANG and Coil, which evolves even further with its outfit bonus. That was pretty cool, but on to this week. As always, if you truly want that full experience, I do recommend hopping in game and testing everything new for yourself. Anyway, as always, if you want exclusive update content just like this, make sure to like and subscribe. Without further delay, let's get right into it. With a new Twitter leak from one of Deepwoken's developers, we have some information and videos from Zartania the map builder. Found on his Twitter, we can see a video showcasing some sort of Deepwoken area with a molten, steam-based theme. It reads a summer log describing extreme depth with a temperature of about 1000 degrees Celsius, so it might be kinda crazy. A lot of people speculate that this is layer 3, the depths layer of heat, but I think it might be an update to the Ignition Ceremed Hollow dungeon. I mean, seriously, we don't even have any bosses down there, and it looks like a perfect place to fight, but share your own thoughts down below. Moving into the game, we actually have ourselves a new fist weapon that's pretty interesting. Stemming from the Heart of Enmity boss fight, we received a fist weapon that shares the same theme, introducing the Gaunts of Enmity. With a similar chunky appearance as the main Enmity boss, it's a decent option that's comparable to other endgame fist weapons. Into the combat, much of the gameplay stays the same with your respective style M1s and criticals, but it does have a stat bonus focused around chip damage. Recently, I've been noticing a lot of light weapons with chip damage and they've consistently been powerful, so it might be worth checking out. Onto some existing weapon changes, we've also received a really interesting rework on a kinda slept on weapon. Let's check out the new Night Axe rework. Compared to the old Night Axe, it had a gold, black-white sort of design and was a normal heavy weapon. The only thing here that made it stand apart was the higher than standard 80% chip damage, and that was all. The new Night Axe model is a dark black and silver design with a symbol in the middle. It's really cool and pretty interesting, and I prefer this over the older one. Moving forward, the M1 attacks here have stayed completely the same, but the critical is really new for Deepwoken and I enjoy it. Using this critical, we slice the air with a night imbued slash, dealing shadow damage on our hit. So it's kind of an elemental bonus for this weapon that procs talents and also allows for creative building, and I really enjoy this. Moving on to another weapon revitalization, today we received a rework to the CANOR FANG. Similar to the Night Axe, the older golden theme for this weapon was basically outdated and a little bit different. Its previous critical was also the base dagger option, leaving it kinda generic. But anyway, in this update, it received a darker dagger design with brown and silver accents, and additionally, this thing actually has some teeth on its hilt to mix with that CANOR like animal theme. Once again, in combat, the weapon M1s are identical to any other dagger, but its critical is something new. So by critting, we unleash a flurry of slashes near the user, dealing substantial damage if all of the multi-hits land. This one is pretty straightforward and is going to be fun for punishing unprepared enemies that fail to parry, and it's way more interesting than it was before. With another weapon change, we've also received a new critical for the VIGL longsword. Before this update, it wasn't doing anything unique and it just had the base sword crit, but this has changed. Anyway, in game, this switches up a lot. With a small arm movement, we wind up our weapon and slash forward with a fast strike which deals bleed damage on our hit. This sort of attack seems to be pretty difficult to read and fast in combat, but I do appreciate the support to older, more neglected weapons. For even more bonus content with the weapon critical reworks, the NEMIT'S SICKLE has received something new. So once again, before this update, it wasn't doing anything special, but now it actually has a unique option. By pressing crit, we poke into our target, causing bleed damage, and we finish the combo with a knockback kick. Honestly, it's pretty simple, but extremely spammable and decent to throw out at a close range. Now, moving forward onto something unexpected, they've turned something that wasn't a weapon into a damage dealing option, which is kinda weird. Found in game, switching to our lumber axe now has an animation preventing all sorts of move stacks, but now its swing actually deals damage. This attack scales with your current strength and deals double damage to structures, so it might have a place in more utility based situations. Seriously though, this is kinda crazy and I do want to check it out, and I recommend you try it too. To finalize all our major weapon adjustments, there's now been a full animation rework for weapon idle, walks, and sprints. So as of right now, there shouldn't really be too much of a visual difference, but it will allow creative changes without the game breaking like it did before. So the system is in place, letting weapons be more unique than before, and I'm excited. Moving on to some new cosmetic options, today we received some well-requested KILT or waist options for equipment. Heading on over to the Heart of Enmity boss fight, it is now possible to obtain the FAULD of Enmity. This new equipment is a torso equip, allowing the player to drape their waist with a relic just like Enmity. This should match with the rest of the set, and it's something new that we haven't really seen for torso options. Another new torso option that's worn near the waist is the THREADWORK KILT. This equipment looks like something a blacksmith would wear with a bunch of buckles and pouches, and I think it's really subtle and cool to use. Hopefully in the future there's even more of these planned. Onto a kinda insane enchant update, we have a massive nerf and rework to the Vampirism enchant. Normally, before this update, any damage dealt with the enchant healed the user back instantly to their health bar, but this is gone. Now, in this patch, health gained with this enchant is temporary and won't actually heal the user. Of course, the temp HP still counts as health, but it will decay over time, and it's a big nerf. Up next, with some heavily impactful changes to mantra and tempo behavior, we got some combat updates. For starters, all mantras now have a degree of range fall off to their damage, meaning they'll start to lose damage if your enemy is farther away. This change is also mirrored when discussing tempo, decreasing the amount of tempo we gain if players are farther away. Both of these changes were made to force up-close interactions, nerfing mantra spam builds that like to snipe from range. To further incentivize combat interactions, players will now gain a small amount of tempo for hitting blocking enemies, but not blocking attacks themselves. I think it's a pretty good idea to get players to fight up close. Finally, this was also balanced out with a nerf to overall tempo gain by landing any mantra, but getting hit yourself stays unchanged. So overall, there's a bunch of decent updates to both of these systems, and we'll have to see how they balance resource management after this adjustment. Moving on to something crazy for the overall map, we have a massive change coming to Fort Merit. So in this update, Fort Merit has been heavily optimized, removing many of the spread out prison cells, secret passageways, bonus enemy spawns, and massively, the movement of the Shrine of Chance. This shrine has been shifted all the way over to Meteor Isle inside of a wall to assist with optimization, but I can't help but be sad seeing the fall of Fort Merit. Compared to the older version, it's way smaller, but for the sake of a faster game, it might have been necessary. And that's about it for today's additions. As always, feel free to head in game for yourself and join up on Battle Royale, and maybe you'll see my team. Thank you so much to all of my loyal fans and members who support my channel directly, and if you like what I do, feel free to join up down below for even more content. As always, thank you again, and make sure to like and subscribe. I'm shooting for 110k subs, and we're almost there. Have a good one. It's punchin' time.